Hello there, everybody. It's Thursday, and what I've endeavored to do on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays is after doing my regular variety show vlog called The Fractal Standard, to do more topical discussions. The topical discussions I have planned for Thursdays have to do with the creative lifestyle, how best to arrange your life to facilitate creativity. And I've done some experimentation in my time in this regard. I am by no means successful at creativity, at least to the point where I can say I gained some satisfaction in a large sense, but I think that I have succeeded in bringing to fruition at least the beginnings of many projects, and along the way have learned some things and been able to entertain people to some degree. Now, what is entertainment? Is the end of creativity to entertain? And I absolutely believe that this is the case, because entertainment, and this is me completely extrapolating, it has nothing to do with any kind of knowledge that I have. It's completely pulled out of my ass, as it were. You're entering into something, and the aimment part just makes me feel like I'm ensconced in it. So basically, when you're entertained, you're sucked into a world, and when you're entertaining, you're the one doing the sucking. Right. So, in order to bring an entertaining thing to fruition, that requires several things, for which I've made a lame-ass little acronym. Methods. M, material. E, energy. T, time. H, honesty. O, organization. D, desire. And S, skill. Obviously, you at least need a pen or a paper. You definitely have to have the energy to use your materials. You need the time in which to do it. You cannot be in the pursuit of food. Or you can forgo food in pursuit of art and become a Bohemian in the old sense of the word, not the new hipstery sense of the word. Honesty. You have to be honest about what it is that you're good at, what it is that you're bad at. And you have to be able to organize yourself in order to take your material, energy, time, and honesty and fashion a product. You know, even disorganization, the disarray that we see with the Bohemian set, takes all of those aforementioned things. You need your scruffy clothes. You need the kind of frantic energy to see how you're going to put them on to look most disaffected. You need the time to do that in, because you're going to be changing wardrobe quite often until you get that engineered messy look quite right. And you need the honesty to call yourself an absolute ass, you see. And you also have to desire these things. That is D. And S is skill. It is a skill. It is an uncanny skill to be that much of a douchebag. So clearly this methods thing is bullshit. I mean, these are all very common sense things. I decided to make a business school type of little acronym, just listing very common sense things that you need to be creative. But the thing of it is all of these things that we know are very hard to implement because life gets in the way. And that's kind of why you have to look at these things sometimes and throw them out the window and completely throw them into what you're doing, which is a lot harder to do than it sounds. Now, I don't suggest going, what's that one writer, Hunter Thompson, or one of those crazy drug-fueled writers that are so popular among, extremists of the Bohemian society. But You can either attempt to stay healthy, but also be adventurous to where you're not so healthy to where you don't take risks. And you have to practice your craft daily. Or you can say fuck it to everything, to job, to a secure, stream of food and the income that provides it, to the shelter, and just completely work with what you're working at, whether or not it's going to bring you any sort of revenue. That's really how simple, how bifurcated the choice is. But then it gets into complex territory of mixing and matching those. And so to me, I'm going to do the lame ass version of this and talk about some daily habits and routines that help to free up time. Because God, if it isn't difficult to have enough time to do all of this stuff, especially if you work a day job, dishes, wash it immediately and put it in a dishwasher and invest in a dishwasher. Now, you are not going to be able to always wash those dishes, no matter how many times you vow after the sink piles up and you have no way of making food. But you have to try, and you have to keep trying until you get there. The other thing is automate as much of your spending as possible and spend as little as possible. Because the less surprise fucking charges and late fees that you have to pay, the more money you have to buy craft beers and instruments. Yeah. But really, my experience has been about, since I dropped out of college, to just kind of try out different things. I always thought, and to some extent I have been successful at, hey, look, you don't need that much, especially in today's world, to survive and even thrive. And there's always going to be jobs out there that are low paid, but that provide just enough. And there's also always going to be people in living situations where you shack up and you live together, and you kind of help each other with the rent, and then you get an inheritance and you get a house, which is what happened to me. But the thing of it is if you're not lucky enough to get a house, that does work, because I found a friend who was Taiwanese, and he had this great little room which had wonderful acoustics, and I took a job, washing dishes for a Japanese place. And because I was logistically going back and forth between places, because my only family was very elderly, and I was worried about them and they were worried about me, it never panned out in terms of me like completely living there the whole time. But it is absolutely possible. Now, in that situation where you're living with a buddy in an apartment, that can get challenging, because then they're like, oh, well, I have this girl over, and can you fuck off for a bit? And then there's also, the fights about organizing the refrigerator, which eats up time. And then the neighbor comes over and he says, you're too fucking loud with your instruments. So if possible, try to get a house that's not an apartment. But just all of these little things to take into consideration. And I think the number one thing is to have a clear-cut goal of what you want to, what sort of craft you want to hone and to work on it every day, because you're really gonna sabotage yourself by procrastinating. This is what I did a lot, and you're gonna start hating yourself and getting that imposter syndrome, because you do create, and you have these like big surges of creativity, but then it kind of peters out. And if you don't have that clear goal and you don't work at it every day, the charm of it will start to fade, to where basically you just kind of become a bum. Like, you don't have the excuse of being an artist. You're just a low income guy who drinks and hangs out. And that can happen very, very quickly. So, organize your space however you want it. Make sure that you have crisp paper and pen. Make sure that your instruments are there, that your tuners are there if you can't tune by ear. And, you know, make sure that you have the time and you don't allow yourself to get distracted. Because the number one killer of creativity and creative output is living situations, and then within the context of those living situations, feeling like all the things that you want to say and you want to do are impossible because of time and physical constraints. And then that can make interpersonal relationships really fucking tense. So, hey, hopefully this, I know it's very standard advice, has been somewhat helpful. God, do these videos ever fucking suck? I am hoping to bring some more production values to where it's not just, me sitting here, to where I'll have little snippets coming up. I purchased Adobe Premiere, which I have on my laptop, which is Microsoft. Yes, I'm a fucking Linux guy. I was using Arch Linux a while back, but I'm using Mint because it's just easier for my workflow with my hardware that I have here. There's not that much maintenance that it requires, but hopefully that'll help me to kind of have more editing tricks and bits of information pop up and video and make it all nice. Now, the Linux program that I have for this Kadian Live, it's pretty good for what it is. Most of the videos that you've seen where I've had like black and white or there's been, text on the screen has been done in that. And I played a little bit around in this Adobe Premiere, and it's not as intuitive as I thought it would be. And it already crashed once. Now that's because my laptop isn't the most, even though it's new, high-powered thing in the world. But we'll see what happens. And if anybody's got any comments about this kind of video editing stuff or any hints, they'd be perfectly welcome. Anyhow, I'm gonna go get some rest because it has been a long fucking day. My Wayne website is fractaljournal.com, where you'll find stories, ideas, and more. Take care. Douchey laugh to fill space because I'm uncomfortable. I know, it's fucking awful, isn't it? I'm gonna fuck off now. Goodbye.